So I guess one of the unique things about van life, i.e. having your home on wheels, it enables you to explore at greater depth, I feel. It allows you to go to places where you're not suddenly constrained by the ties of having to get back home. If I go away for a weekend to a campsite, for example, where I am now, I know that I can come here Friday, Saturday and Sunday because I can get up early enough on the Monday morning and then commute to work. So I'm not losing a day, I'm not losing an evening. I'm witnessing now all of these campers, bikers, caravanners, people with tents, etc., all leaving throughout the course of this morning. And it might be that I'm the only one here. I was the last time I was here anyway. And it's quite nice to then have a whole campsite to yourself. It'd be really peaceful. So van life has kind of enabled me to do loads of trips. I think of all of the meetups that I've gone to, Camp Quirky, the Boondocker Bash, the Greg Virgo Bash at Stratford upon Avon, meeting up with the gang at New Year's Eve, being able to see Ash and Marie in the new year, then there was the OC meetup after the first lockdown, followed by the Willow Fields cancelled Overlander meetup, then an impromptu meetup in the Forest of Bowland, I think it was. I can't think of any more meetups. But just having the ability to just go to these places when possible and not be tied down, which is just such a liberating feeling. It's also given me a better means of being able to travel and do the things that I really like to do. I've got a real keen passion in aviation, and it's just really lovely to be able to just explore. And it's a bit difficult sometimes because I can't get the van in places around airfields, bases, airports, etc. due to parking constrictions. But normally I can always find some place, and the fact that I've got the bike in the back, if I wanted to, I could then park up somewhere at a field and take the bike out and then cycle closer. But being able to just explore and go to places and again just not having the worry of having to pack up at a certain time, just knowing that literally across the way there is your house. But that's really given me a freedom to just go and explore bases up and down the country and old airfields, etc., which is just a real sort of nerdy passion of mine. And then of course it's then allowed me to do the road trips. I remember after Camp Quirky, that was 2019, so that year I was travelling everywhere because that was my third and last, I didn't realise at the time, but my last trip to Jakarta to see my children. But I'd come off that, then did Camp Quirky, and then I think I took a trip up to Scotland to Edinburgh and did the Edinburgh Festival. That was kind of a bit of a busman's holiday, but it was nice to finally actually go to the Edinburgh Festival and watch it as a punter, as opposed to working on it, which is what I've normally done in the past. And so again, having that freedom of being able to park up at a campsite and knowing that you're always going back home, but in a completely different place, a completely different location. So that Scotland trip, was just a little taster as to something that I'd like to do in the future. And then of course there's the 2 trips that I took to Wales. The first one was to visit the Mac Loop, and then the second time visiting Anglesey and Snowdonia in more detail, and just having that time to just explore for a whole week. And then of course going back sometime was I guess my first kind of solo road trip really was the one to the Lake District, and being able to explore all 16 lakes and just take my time and just that liberty and freedom to not have time constraints, I think is probably one of the biggest pluses of living in the van. And then there was my very short trip to France with the children, which again was just a taster, just to see. I have driven abroad before, but never in a van, and it was remarkable how easy it was, or it was to me anyway. It felt quite easy to drive on the other side of the road, but again it was just so nice to be able to go further afield, kind of have that sense of adventure, and tasting for the first time that little morsel that I had on my bucket list, the original idea, which I guess was the catalyst, was the thing that kind of pushed this whole idea of living in the van.